in consulting, and in 2019 you quit your job to pursue your passion in life, which I'm kind of jealous about, but because you actually succeeded, and you're now, according to my notes, an award-winning entrepreneur and international speaker, and you even got a publishing award for your latest book. Very cool. So I'm looking very much forward to learn about new age of reality, how to use your imagination to smash your goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Clicker would be helpful. Everything that has ever been achieved started in someone's imagination as a thought, an idea, or a concept. Wright brothers used their imagination to launch a first powered airplane in 1903, and Nikola Tesla visualized his work in such great detail that by the time it came putting it into practice, he saved himself a lot of time, effort, and energy. But the thing is, in order to turn our goals and our thoughts into a tangible physical reality, imagining alone just isn't enough, and that's why I believe that imagination gets a bad rap, or not really used as commonly as it should be, because without knowing how to access those ideas and thoughts and do something with them, they will forever remain a fantasy and unfulfilled dreams. But when we know how to apply it effectively, it can change our entire lives. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 pillars of successful goal setting and achieving model to help you bring your goals into physical reality with more ease and less resistance. So we're going to be looking at energy, how that impacts our goals, imagination, and decisions. Energy. Energy is at the core of everything. Energy is our highest currency, and it directly impacts our ability to achieve our goals. And everything in our lives either drains our energy or takes it away from us, or it adds to our energy. So in other words, you really have to become aware of people, of places, of our daily routines and habits and actions, and pay attention to what is it that takes away our energy and what energizes us. And that begins by getting into alignment with our energetic blueprint that shows us how genetically we are wired to optimize our energy and exchange it with the world around us. We are all unique, not just on a physical, chemical, biological level, but also energetically too. And each and every one of us has come into this planet. We were born with our own energetic blueprint that shows us how our energy flows, what our unique productivity looks like, and how we are wired to set and achieve our goals. So this energetic blueprint is presented to us via our energy type. And energy type is a foundation of a scientific platform called human design. I'm curious here, has anyone heard of human design before? Amazing. So for those of you who haven't come across human design, you might have experienced platforms like Myers-Briggs, DISC, StrengthsFinder. And human design builds on that and introduces an energetic component to it. And as such, it has the potential to transform how we work and how we live our lives, because it shows us the mechanics of how we are wired to operate and where our true potentials lie. So there are 5 energy types, and in this room, we're going to have a mix of 5, or at least 4. One of them is really rare, which is a generator, manifesting generator, projector, reflector, and manifester. And every type, they have their own set of strengths and skills, and the way they are designed to stay productive and energized and even set and achieve goals is different to each of the types. Let's have a look at what they are. So manifestors are people with tremendous energy to start things. They're here to initiate, to impact, to be the ones who actually start many things, projects, conversations, engagement. But the interesting thing about them is, even though they have a tremendous energy to impact and start, they often don't have the energy to finish what they started. And they need support from other people, because without that support, They can often be seen as people who start but don't finish things. Anyone knows people like that? So when it comes to goal settings, the advice for manifestors to dream those big, bold goals and then talk about them, write about them, post about them, because wherever our attention goes, our energy flows, and our energy directly impacts our ability to achieve our goals. The next two types are the generators and manifesting generators. As you can see, there are majority of people in this world. And these people are the only two types who have a consistent supply of energy. So they don't need to inform others, they don't even need to rest through the day. And the way they stay energized is by doing things that they feel lit up by, that inspire them, that motivate them. And the more excited and passionate they feel about what they do, the more energy they have. So when it comes to goal setting, the advice for the generators and manifesting generators to always focus on how their goals make them feel instead of attaching their goals to meet expectations of other people. Then the projectors. So projectors, they don't have that stable energy, consistent energy like generators, and trying to keep up with majority of people in the world can actually slow them down and potentially even burn them out. Their energy comes in bursts. And one of the unique gifts is to be able to see and unlock potential in other people, potentials that people don't even see within themselves. And that's why it makes them great leaders and guides and CEOs, and the energy best flows when they work in small groups or one-on-one. So when it comes to goal setting, the advice for projectors is to focus on quality over quantity. And when one bit is done, to check with themselves, do I have the energy for the next step? And if not, then just go relax a bit, go maybe for a walk, go meditate, go for a run, whatever it is. Because a well-rested, energized projector, they are the most efficient out of all fives, even more than generators who like Duracell bunnies. And the last but not least are reflectors. Reflectors, they're like our mirrors. They literally reflect to us who we are being. They show us how well things are going or not so well. And for them to thrive, environment is the key. So when it comes to setting goals, the advice for reflectors is always to focus on the environment. How does it make them feel? It needs to be feeling nurtured, supportive environment. And another advice for reflectors is to focus on the goals, just for generators, how they make them feel, instead of comparing to what others are doing. You know, I often say that setting goals is easy, but achieving them is a lot harder. And either because of the challenges or obstacles that come on our way, or because we push with the willpower, which is a limited resource, or because we measure our goals by the time, our productivity, right? Time is the measure, how we measure productivity, but time is also a very finite, limited resource. But when we know how to use our energy, we can then start restoring and renewing, so we can tap into our energy and literally our productivity skyrockets. And earlier this year, I'm a generator, by the way. So earlier this year, guys, I was full-time employee. I was contracting to Morgan Stanley. I've got 2 businesses, and I've got 2 kids, and I still remember to even feed them. And every day, at least, I will take 3 hours for myself to meditate, to journal, to work out, which is my non-negotiable. And, you know, my productivity skyrocketed just by changing the way I use my energy. And that's why I love human design, because it then helps us to start building routines that work for us. So if you're a generator, focusing on the thing that inspires and excites you the most to raise your energy in the morning will set you up for the rest of the day. If you're a projector, putting these little pauses of break and rest throughout the day. If you're a manifestor, then getting support of other people so they can help you to finish all of the things that you've started. And then if you're a reflector, then focusing on correct environments. And when we truly understand how unique we are, we can stop comparing ourselves to others, right? Because remember, wherever our attention goes, our energy flows. So where does your attention go to during the day? Imagination. This is the second pillar. To achieve our goals and to exceed our expectations, we have to step outside our current circumstances and imagine what is it that you want to achieve. And some of the world's greatest minds have attributed their success to imagination. You might have heard of this guy, Albert Einstein, who says logic will take you from A to B, while imagination will take you everywhere. So how exactly does imagination help us to smash our goals? Well, numerous studies have already shown that imagination increases our creativity, and we know that creativity increases innovation and growth. It helps us to break through that mental clutter and noise and shifts our minds to see things from a different perspective. And as such, it enhances our problem-solving abilities. And one of the biggest reasons why many people don't achieve those life goals, or those big dreams and visions, or why they settle for something less, is because of their self-limiting beliefs which live in our subconscious minds. And many of them stem from our childhood. So imagination helps us to see, to break through those limiting beliefs and see things outside the box that we only create for ourselves. So now I'm extremely excited to take you through this imagination process. And it's going to be a 3-minute hands-on exercise, because one thing you're sitting here listening to me, but another thing you're actually putting that practice, or rather this information, into practice. So guys, if you don't have a pen and paper, please can you lift up your hands, and these guys will kindly lift it, give it to you. But while this is happening, I want to share with you my little personal story. 2 years ago, when I've learned this process, and usually this process takes about an hour. We're only going to have 3 minutes, but I promise you this 3 minutes is going to make an impact. When I did it 2 years ago, I've summarized this process into 11 bullet points. And the first bullet point was that I wanted to speak at international events. I really was desperate to leave UK. I wanted to speak at a live event. And the second bullet point was I wanted to see my family who live in Ukraine and Germany. At that stage, I had no speaking experience. And shortly, the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine. But every day, or as often as I remembered, I tried connecting to my vision, to write about it, to meditate, just to even think about it. And last year, July, I was invited to speak at Employee of the Future events in Berlin. And just before I went there, I rang my dad and I asked him if he can leave Ukraine to go to Germany. So the day after the event, I took a train from Berlin to Frankfurt, where my cousin is. And when I walked into a house, my aunt was there, who managed to get out of Ukraine by that time. And my dad arrived on the last train, well, the last ticket he managed to get for the train. And you know what? Every single thing that I wrote on that vision board 2 years ago, all 11 bullet points have happened for me in my life, but not a single one of them happened in the way my mind thought it should be. So that's why I'm just so passionate sharing with you this process, because honestly, I believe that if you practice this, it will change your entire lives. So the way it's going to work, I think almost everybody should have pen and paper. Almost. No, it's cool. I'm just going to talk through the instructions. You're going to focus on one area of your life. It can be career, relationship, doesn't really matter, whatever it is. And then ask yourself this question: if anything was possible and I could not fail, what would I love to achieve? And then you're going to write for 2 minutes, right? And when you write, just let's say it's a house. Don't say, when I save money and I go give a deposit. No, you are already in this dream. You're already living it. It's your reality. So I want you to really tap into that feeling. What would happen if you already achieved it? And you're going to write it for 2 minutes. And then for the last minutes, ask yourself, what would be even better than this? Like, what would blow my mind? And just allow yourself to go big, because what we're doing is we're creating a vision beyond the vision. We're literally expanding your awareness, your logical mind. So that's 3 minutes. Any questions before we get started? Is everyone good with what we need to do? Okay. Guys, can we get there? Oh, hold on, there's a question.
So you need to write continuously?
Well, you can, if something stops, just connect to get out of your head, connect to your heart, and say, what else? What else? It's only 2 minutes. I'm sure you can summon something up. Yeah, and then for the last minute, go even beyond that. Like what would be like absolutely amazing? Okay, I think we're good. All right, can we have 3 minutes and music, please? And maybe like dim the light slightly if everybody can see. Thank you. Nothing is a limit, nothing is keeping you back, anything is possible. All right, guys, 3 minutes is up. Thank you very much for obliging with this exercise. I would love to hear from 1 or 2, 3 of you, how did you feel when you were writing it? Anyone? Any emotion, any feeling?
I just want to say that when the music started, it made a difference. It changed my way of thinking.
Like more relaxed? Or
No, feeling differently.
differently? Different is always good. Difference is good. Anyone else want to share? Quick one. Were you anxious, stressed? Yeah?
I don't think any of this is realistic to achieve for me.
Well, that's only your self-limiting belief, and that's where you've got to go and check with yourself, where's this belief coming from? And I mean, that goes to the inner child, which I just don't have time to do right now. We can't spend a whole day on that. But the thing is, guys, where I was leading with this is we often get stuck in our heads trying to figure out all of the hows, whens, whys, shoulds, and shouldn'ts. And when that happens, that lowers our energy. And everything responds to our energy. So whenever you feel yourself anxious, whenever you feel stuck in a hows and whens, connect with the feeling. How would it feel if I was already living this dream? And that will increase your energy instantly. I promise you, if you keep on practicing, your lives will change. Right, the last pillar we're going to talk about is decisions. Now, we've planted the seeds into our imagination. We started watering them. But the thing is, nothing in our lives will change until we make decisions and we actually act on them. And really, we need to start re-reviewing how we make decisions, because most of the time we make decisions with our logical, analytical minds. And while there's nothing wrong with it, our logic can only take us that far. If we're going to cap out, we can't go beyond it. And that's why, especially when it comes to achieving those bold, big visions and goals, we need to go beyond. We need to stop tapping into our subconscious minds. And intuition is the roadmap into our subconscious minds. Our subconscious mind stores all of the data, information, everything we witnessed, we've heard of since the time we were born. In addition to that, research has also shown that our subconscious mind processes information 27,000 times faster, which is why it helps us to make decisions faster, especially in a complex and unpredictable circumstances. Often, it acts as a voice of caution. You know that little voice you have within that goes, "Don't do that," or "Take a chance." Well, when you trust that voice more, you will save yourself tons of time and energy and efforts. And of course, it helps us to read people. So how do we practice our intuition? We mistakenly believe that slowing down means being unproductive and lazy, but the opposite is true. Because when we physically slow down, energetically, we speed up. And remember, energy is our highest currency, and it directly impacts our ability to achieve our goals. We then need to ask our intuition a question and listen. And when answers come, we've got to have the guts to act on it, no matter how unlogical or unreasonable they seem to your logical mind. And I quickly want to share with you a story. I was recently involved in this project with a large organization, and Tim and I were circling around the same problem for a week and a half. And finally, I went like, I help people to make decisions for a living. I teach intuition. Let me practice what I preach. So I sat on a couch, I put my blindfolds on, and I literally said, "Universe, there must be at least one answer to this problem." And the answer came immediately: go for a walk. Like, okay, well, intuition, the thing is, it's not a very logical way of talking to you. And it was raining, and I snapped both of my knees doing yoga, so I was in a lot of pain. I really didn't want to go for a walk, but I went. I got to the canal 5 minutes later, and 3 answers came to me. And the way I knew the right answers is by the way my body felt. There was just so much excitement and expansion. So I went home, I called my team, and I'm like, "Guys, this is what you've got to do." And they were like, "How did you figure that out?" And I told them, I sat on a couch, I went for a walk, and that was it. I mean, they were quite used to my very unconventional ways of working. So what I'm sharing with you is 1.5 weeks with no answers, and half an hour we had 3 ways to go forward. And all it takes is a little bit of willingness to slow down, to listen, and obviously trust. And the last bit I'm going to mention here is a human design authority. So we briefly spoke how human design helps us to optimize our energy. In addition to it, human design introduces us to our inner authority, showing us how genetically we are wired to make decisions that are correct for us. Because intuition is not always in the gut, and it's not always an instinct. We experience it differently. So there are 7 human design authorities. I'm just briefly going to introduce you to 3. The first one, the pink one, is called Trust Your Gut, the sacral authority. That's my authority. And people with this authority, they're actually wired to make spontaneous decisions depending on that feeling in the gut. It will feel either as an expansion or it contracts. The second one called mental authority. So people with this authority, they need a sounding board. They can come to you and ask you for your opinion and advice, but at the end of the day, they're not really interested in what you've got to tell them. They find clarity through their voice. That's how they know the next right step for them. And the last one is called an emotional authority, which is over 50% of people will have. And people with this authority are not really meant to make spontaneous decisions because their body goes through a chemical process, they ride an emotional wave, and making decisions at the height of the wave, either not going to be the best decision or something even better would have happened if they just waited. So advice for them is not to rush into making spontaneous decisions. So I know I'm running slightly over time. Let's just wrap this up. 3 pillars of a successful goal setting and achieving model. Our energy. Energy is our highest currency, and it directly impacts our ability to achieve our goals. Imagination is what happens to helps us to get out of our logical, analytical minds and shift our perspective and see things from a different angle. And decisions, by connecting to our intuition and listening and acting in it, we can save ourselves a lot of time and energy and effort. So I'm going to leave you with the last slide and a reminder to say that to achieve our goals, and I'm talking about big, bold goals, We often don't even have to change what we do, but almost always we have to change who we are. And the interesting thing is when we change who we are, what we do changes automatically. And this change begins by changing our energy first, by staying open to new possibilities, by expanding our minds, and most importantly, by taking radical responsibility for every single thing that is happening in our lives. Thank you so much, guys. If you want to connect with me, my details are here. I'll also be around here somewhere. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for making people in this room feel really uncomfortable because they think, you know, passion is the only thing that leads them. So that was excellent. That was an excellent feeling to feel coming from the rest of the room. Will you take one or two questions real
Sure,
quick
there's time
before
for it,
we?
yeah, totally.
All right. Let's see if we have any. All right. How do you convince others, in example, a new team, to trust on their intuition?
I don't believe we're here to convince anyone or to make anyone do anything. We just got to become that person, and then whoever resonates can follow us or not. It's up to them.
All right, that's a nice answer. Is there any good resource if you want to know more about human design?
Yeah, so you can go on My Body Graph. It's literally one word, mybodygraph.com, and you